This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We're looking at the Wednesday DraftKings 9-game main slate. And Keith, quite a bit of major injury news that we're waiting on for this slate that will certainly impact one way or another on probably how we go about building here today. Obviously, notable names were questionable last night. Some more names end up being put on the injury report today, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How are you doing, man, before we kick off this 9-gamer? Congrats to you on your near takedown the other day. I know OT cost you a few bills, but still an impressive showing there, sir.
Yeah, we put a couple of lineups up near the top. Had a sixth-place finish, two sixth-place finishes, I believe, were my top two, but was leading the $12 for most of the evening. The overtime there for the Nuggets-Sixers game definitely cost me some dollars. Did not have VJ Edgecombe, who went nuts in overtime. Maxey had a really good overtime. And Peyton Watson was my main piece left, and I think he actually had negative points in overtime. He had a couple turnovers, so didn't quite get to the top. But man, it was a fun sweat. I was up top all night long. So hopefully we can repeat that here tonight.
I don't know if you've ever heard my my overtime story for NBA DFS or not, but a few years back, I was winning a ticket to the FanDuel main event. First place, Lakers were taking on the Warriors back when KD was on there. And KCP, who was on my team, hits a 3 to tie the game and ends up going into overtime. KD goes and scores like 7 straight points, so I didn't have, and I end up falling back. So I had a live final ticket punched if KCP doesn't hit a 3 with like 90 seconds left to tie the game to go to overtime. That was a killer for me. You know, those are auto 10K cashes with like $1 million first place prize. Watch it just disappear quick. So overtime can do that to you. Hopefully you guys find some better success here tonight with the 9-game slate. We appreciate you all tuning in with us here each and every day. Again, injury is sort of the biggest news story of the day. How are you kind of going about it? What are you most waiting on here? What is you're kind of setting your lineups?
Yeah, I think there's still a ton of news here to come. The biggest thing I think we're waiting on is the Cade Cunningham midday downgrade and the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander midday downgrade. We're talking about two just absolute superstars with a midday downgrade, and we have talked about this a lot on the show. That is never a positive sign. Anytime they get the midday, that's a problem. So I think those are two very serious questionable tags that we obviously need to monitor. And they're not the only ones. We got guys like Trey Murphy as well, who are questionable.
We just now got a downgrade for Jaren Jackson Jr. that downgraded to questionable for today with an illness. So, Memphis already potentially walking wounded here against Phoenix, down. Maybe John Morant, I think is doubtful for this game, right? Or is he? What's John's status here? Questionable. Okay, yeah. Questionable for this one. So we'll see. Obviously, if he suits up, but the midday downgrade for Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't help him out there. And you can just see, just from the looks of it, Caden SJ, as we've talked about, all the questionable plays here. We got guys already ruled out. It's going to be kind of interesting to see sort of where this one plays. So we'll do our best for all of you. Again, there's so much uncertainty. Hopefully we'll get some of this lineup news before we go live. Or before the slate starts, rather, 7 p.m. start time. So like Detroit to 7 p.m. start time, we'll have the Cade news by then. The Thunder are not, though. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. It goes to sort of Grande's theory about building with the ability to late swap. So you can kind of, move to AJ Mitchell or something like that, or Jalen Williams or Chad if there's no SGA, and kind of maneuver your lineups around that way. If we are looking at point guard, last night we kind of just went right to Maxey because he's under $10,000. He has an elite matchup against Washington, and Joel Embiid's a true questionable here. But now if there's no Cade and SGA, like everybody just kind of looks at Maxey probably anyways as the spend up.
Yeah, he's the name that certainly jumps out here. Cade's been incredible, and that matchup against Chicago is one of the best in the league. not to say SGA is not incredible. Oklahoma City has struggled more. So even though they're 18-point favorites in this one, like there's no guarantee that they're going to just run Utah out of the gym. So I think you can play either of the top two guys. But Maxey is the guy that stands out for me. He's just been so good, and he also has an elite matchup. All three of the top guys, just like the three best matchups you can possibly get, pretty much. But Maxey's just like a lock for 55 plus fantasy points here recently, even with Embiid and Paul George, and BJ Edgecombe is doing what he's doing too, and it just doesn't matter. Like Maxey is just still getting his.
The minutes are just absurd
Yes.
for Maxey. I mean, 46 minutes last game. He didn't sit. You know, that's 5 minutes of overtime. He played 41 regulation minutes in this game. So, that's kind of where it lies, really, is the fact that, Maxey's a high fantasy point minute, high usage rate player who's playing more minutes literally than anybody in the league. So that's kind of why I initially just jumped to him for the discount, even before we thought Cade and SGA may have played. And obviously I agree with you. Cade for Chicago is one of the best possible draws of any player on any slate. But now he may not play, as we had the Anthony with the happy Dennis Jenkins day. Yeah,
could be.
It could very well be. Murray, Harden, Brunson's that next tier down. Thoughts on anybody there?
Murray is interesting. He's been incredible without Jokic, as we expect. Tough matchup against Boston, but I mean, he's going to have 35% usage more than likely in this spot. Harden has just not been able to do it here with what Kawhi's been doing for the Clippers. So I don't like him in this matchup against New York. He's on the injury report as well. Yeah. Brunson is fine. Like, has had trouble finding a ceiling as well.
0 assists last game was like very weird for him.
Especially without Josh Hart. Like, you assume with Hart out of the lineup, he would pick up a few more of those peripheral stats and just hasn't. So he's always live to score 40 points in the bucket, though. So certainly no issue playing him in tournaments.
Again, the ownership for today is all the value of the point guard position because, we're just kind of assuming that's where it is. But two guys in the mid tier that are getting some love: Derek White at $8,000 and Dyson Daniels at $6,800. And two guys here getting some looks. If Ja Morant plays, I definitely have some interest at $7,700 there as well. What are your thoughts as we kind of work our way into this mid range?
Yeah, Ja's interesting because I don't think anyone's going there, and he has looked a lot better. He's looked a lot more like Ja Morant of old here recently. The minutes are back up above 30.
Yep.
He has upside for 60 fantasy points when he's right. So we
dropped 40 actual, so
yeah, exactly. And triple double on a great night. So I like Ja as a tournament play a lot. I don't think anyone is going there.
No. And again, maybe that changes. He's in and Jaren Jackson's out, late ownership movement possibly. But Grande is pretty consistently said Derek White's like one of the better per dollar plays on the Celtics. It's really him or Jaylen Brown would be the two you'd get to. But ownership, we're looking at Derek White around 15-16% tonight. Denver, even if they have guys back, those guys will be limited. They don't play any defense anyways. 8K price tag, though. Are you comfortable with that, Will White?
I am, and he's not typically like a guy you think of as a ceiling, like going to go put up a triple-double, but he fills up the stat sheet considerably. Yeah. He contributes in every single category, and sometimes where he generally gets his spikes is with the stocks. We saw the huge block game a couple games ago. Mm-hmm. He's live for 5 steals anytime, so he does enough where he can find ceiling. The price tag's a little bit uncomfortable, but I still think it's fine, especially against Denver. Yeah. I know they've got Gordon back now, who's going to help that defense, but they've been really bad defensively for most of the season, really.
Yep. Agree with you on that. Again, what are your thoughts on the Dyson Daniels ownership? Is that just a matchup against the Pelicans? Do you think that goes away? Where
I think it's the shooting guard eligibility, to be honest. Okay. Like, shooting guard's a much weaker position than what we're talking about here at point guard. So he's just – I don't think there's anything too exciting about him. It is a good matchup, but I'm not racing to play him, especially into ownership. It's fine, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah, I was going to say the ownership that I'm at least seeing right now is the second highest point guard. Like, that seems a little odd to me. Again, I'd rather go if there's no Ja. I mean, Cam Spencer stepped right back up and did what Cam Spencer was doing without Ja Morant earlier this season. even with Vince Williams active and things like that. So, I mean, if there's no John Morant, Cam Spencer would step right back into a spot that I'd be comfortable with. Jordan Poole's down here. I like Quentin Grimes a lot at the price tag at $5,600. Another guy that's going to play a lot. And then there's no CJ McCollum because he's very close to being an Atlanta Hawk, it seems like. So Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson's up to $5K. Bub Carrington's at $4,400.
Yeah, I like both of them. I think I prefer Bub slightly. The minutes upside is just a little bit more for Bub. Johnson has kind of been it's not like an announced restriction, but they just haven't pushed Trey Johnson a ton. Still very playable as shorthanded as Washington is, but I expect Carrington to start here and play at least 30 minutes with upside for like 36 minutes in this spot. He's just in way too good of a role for his $4,400 price tag.
I agree. And a guy, again, we've seen play a lot of minutes. We've seen have some ceiling games here. He fills up the stat sheet. No McCollum, no Keyshawn. Like there's going to be, we'll get to the center. Obviously, there's a certain play that we're going to like, given the situation there. Any other point guards here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, AJ Mitchell is worth talking about. Not only is SGA questionable, if SGA is ruled out, this is the top value on the slate. I mean, if Cade gets ruled out too, you can argue it's AJ or Danis. But this is the Oklahoma City version of the Danis Jenkins day. Even if Cade is in, though, I have some interest. If it's a blowout, I think he could stay on the floor for a little bit longer than some of the other guys. And he could take on a massive usage role in that type of situation. So even if he doesn't close a 40-point blowout, he could still get a little fourth quarter run in a big blowout. I just think there's a lot of upside there. We've got guys like Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein out. So the regular role is firmly secure at like mid-20s minutes. And then you've got also upside for some blowout runs.
I mean, we saw what he was doing when there was no Jalen Williams earlier this season, just putting up 40, 50 fantasy points. As we saw, it got up to like almost $7,000 on a slate here. And then, Danis stepped on the floor the other day and knocked down 6 threes. So, very live and very capable to put up some big numbers at $3,800. So we'll have to see. And again, we will get the Pistons news. So we'll know before roster lock whether or not, Danis is in there. I'm excited for the swerve where they start Jaden Ivey instead, at $4,200, and we all just go flock to that because, again, another very talented, high usage player, but we don't know when or where or how the minutes are coming. So if there's no Cade and they put him in the starting lineup, I'd feel a lot better about that. If there's no Cade in general, you have to think he's still going to play 20 plus though, right?
Yeah, you would think. It's been a little bit concerning what they've done with his minutes. He hasn't really spiked up much. He's got a couple games over 25, but just one or two, I think. He's been primarily in that like 18-minute range. So
yeah,
I don't know if they would start him because of that reason. I think they would maybe want to keep those minutes a little bit limited, but I agree with you. I would have interest if Cade's out,
even
if he's not starting.
Over at shooting guard, last night I kind of made a point just to highlight the fact that Devin Booker at $8,500 certainly has a ceiling. We know this is a guy that can go out. He takes 25 shots. If he gets hot going, he can score you 40 actual. He scored us a handful of 30 actuals here. The peripheral stats come and go, but they're not terrible. I just like the price. I don't know, $8,500 for Devin Booker feels a little bit too cheap. How do you feel though about like Booker, Bane, Ingram in that group?
Yeah, Booker's price tag is what kind of stands out. He's the guy we've paid $10K for many times before. He has not been as aggressive this season, and the peripherals are down a little bit, as you mentioned as well. So I get why the price is dropping, but now that it's down here, like he could absolutely put up 60 fantasy points. So totally with you there. Interesting spot against Memphis too. They play pretty fast. They're not great defensively. It's just a solid overall game environment. I think I'm with you on Booker.
Great tournament play if you're making, I know you're king of the 20 max, getting a Devin Booker share in there just in case. Cade Cunningham remains questionable as of now, according to the latest update here. So they'll have to let us know though before roster locks.
Yeah, we should get the pregame warm-up stuff. Like they'll tell us if he's out there for pregame warm-ups or not. Yeah. We're going to have a lot of cues here in the next hour. Or so.
we definitely will. Thoughts on Bane, Ingram, Black in this, or Murphy even in this next group?
Yeah, Ingram is the one that stands out there. He's been playing extremely well, leading the team in usage. Even with RJ Barrett back, I think there's enough shots there for BI to find a ceiling, as well as he's playing right now. And then Trey Murphy, obviously, with what he did last night, we just have to take that into consideration. I don't love that it's a back-to-back,
Yeah.
and I think the fact that he did just go off will make him a little more popular than maybe he should be. But it is a fantastic spot. Atlanta's one of the premium matchups that we like to target because they play at the second fastest pace in the entire league, and they're below average defensively. So another great spot for Trey Murphy. I like the price tag. Again, another guy on the injury report that we need to keep an eye on, though.
Yeah, really finding the 3-point stroke after kind of getting off to a slow start to begin the season. In the mid-range, NEW, Gillespie, though they do have Grayson Allen back for tonight. Edgecombe at $6,700. Charlotte's. What did we get on the Miller news today? Is he still questionable?
Still questionable, I believe.
Okay. Downgrade. All right. If Miller doesn't play, it kind of it makes me want to go back to LaMelo a little bit and just kind of highlight the fact that LaMelo is only $8,000 here. And Grande and I talk a lot on the preview show. It's hard to get to Charlotte because they're one of those teams that have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things. Bridges, Miller's been shooting lights out. Con can shoot lights out. LaMelo's taking a bit of a back seat here, but if you take one guy away from that equation, it just opens up the potential. So LaMelo at 8K would be super interesting to me if there ends up being no Miller, but also Colin Kneble here at $6,400 also equally becomes a very interesting play.
Yeah, I think you broke down the Charlotte situation really well right there. It's just if one of them is out, the rest all get a bump, and they're all then underpriced for their new roles. Yep. But if they're all healthy, it's tough to play any of them. I think Brandon Miller is my favorite option if they are all healthy, just because he has that ceiling of being able to score a bunch of points in a hurry. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is really interesting. He's played just incredible this season. The usage has been really solid. Even with Porzingis back, because Porzingis is still limited, I should add, I think that you could certainly find a ceiling out of Noah for sure.
100%.
Especially with the matchup, New Orleans gives up the most amount of threes in the entire league.
That's sort of the appeal, right? The right. Matchup with New Orleans, they just can't defend the perimeter. So you get guys that can shoot from out there, they can have themselves a big night. Anything else as we work our way down? I mean, we're kind of in this 5K tier again. I kind of mentioned Grimes. If you want to go in a little bit more, just another guy just plays a ton of minutes for this team against Washington.
Kelly Oubre is back tonight, so I'm a little bit concerned. Assuming he's back, he was upgraded to probable, initially questionable, upgraded to probable midday. I don't think he has a massive role when he comes back, but I think he's going to be out there for 20-ish minutes. Okay. I'm a little concerned about what that does to Grimes.
We were trying to figure out where do the minutes come from with him, because you got to assume nothing touches Maxey. Obviously, right. Embiid's a different position. Maybe Edgecombe sees a couple minute reduction. Maybe Grimes a couple minutes, and then Barlow or someone Edwards or somebody like that just gets axed completely, and Oubre sort of takes those on.
Yeah, you'd have to think it'd be one of those periphery guys like Barlow, right? Edgecombe has just been playing way too well. I really like Edgecombe tonight.
We just got an update from Nurse 2. It says both Watford and Oubre will have a minutes limit if they play. It does not say whether they will. It doesn't say what the limit is. So hopefully we can get a little bit more insight there, because I do think this price is pretty low for Quentin Grimes if he's playing 40 minutes. Minutes limit. Did anybody get the actual number though? I did see that it was going to be limited. If you got the actual number, shout it out to me. It'd be good to see that.
I assume it's going to be 25 at 20? The very most. I think it's closer to 20. Yeah.
He's missed 2 months. He can't. Yes, he's not
exactly
he's jumping back out there. Talked to Washington guys already. You do have the Denver plays. If we get any more clarity there, Goodwin's getting ownership, but with Grayson Allen back, I don't know. Do you feel like
Goodwin closed over Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie? I don't know that that's sticky. So I'd be really hesitant on the 25 minutes. I think that role is probably closer to 20 with Grayson Allen closing the game now that he's had a game to get healthy.
As it stands right now, he's the highest rostered shooting guard.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the guys that we've talked about, there's not a lot here, honestly. So I understand why people are trying to save money at an uncomfortable position. I'm really leery about the minutes.
I'd rather play Vid, I think, right? Like, wouldn't you feel a little bit more comfortable with that, or no?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Goodwin he's been so good per minute while he's been out there. But again, that was all without Grayson Allen. And we've only seen it one time with Grayson Allen back, and Allen was clearly limited.
Mm-hmm. Kobe Sanders had the big game the other night. If there's no Harden, maybe you take a look there. Again, if there's no SGA, someone like Cason Wallace, Jace Richardson had a good game again. 3,900 for him. If there's no
man, I don't know what to do with that Jace Richardson thing. I don't know what to do with Orlando in general, really, is the answer.
That's fair. All right, let's go on over to small forward then. If we go up at the top, there's Kawhi at 10-1. There's Jaylen Brown at $9,800. Michael Porter Jr. is $87. And then Jalen Williams, $7,400. Obviously, if there's no SGA, there's got to be some appeal there.
Yeah, I just have to shout out what Kawhi has been doing. It's not a great matchup against the Knicks, obviously, but nobody is playing Kawhi Leonard, who has routinely gone for 60 fantasy points over the last couple of weeks here. That seems like a pretty great spend up that nobody's getting to. Jaylen Brown's fine. I like the matchup against Denver. I'm not getting to a ton of him, but in 20 lineups, I'll sprinkle him in one or two. Jalen Williams is, I think, going to be pretty popular. And if SGA plays, I don't feel very good about that, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't play Jalen Williams at all if SGA plays. I said that on the show last night. I was like, if you look at the name and look at the price, you're like, oh, wow, this is cheap. And then you look at the numbers, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of deserves to be that cheap.
Yeah, he deserves to be cheaper. He's overpriced at $7,400 right now. But if there's no SGA, you gotta look. Let's see what the numbers are here. And we did just get Brandon Miller still questionable. No one's helping us out. Give us a definitive injury report here, people. Do us a favor here.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what the Jalen Williams numbers are. If we get down a little bit further, RJ Barrett at $6,300 still just stands out to us. And I still like Dylan Brooks at 61, even if Grayson Allen sees more minutes tonight.
Yeah, RJ was up over 30 minutes again, so he is full strength now. It's a great matchup against Charlotte. He's just a little bit too cheap for the player that he is because he missed some time. Have no problems going right back to him. I like the Dylan Brooks shout out as well. He's been awesome. He's part of the reason that Booker hasn't been able to find the ceiling as much. He's taking a bunch of shots. He's doing a little bit peripherally as well. So I like that shout quite a bit.
And again, he's another volume shooter. And I always say, like, he's one of those guys that really gets up for like revenge matchups and being traded from Memphis, feels like something that he would just kind of get up for. All right, I got the Jalen Williams numbers here. 1.26 fantasy points per minute, 32% usage rate this season without SGA on the floor. Chet is 27% with a 1.3. If you're looking for the top two guys there, AJ Mitchell's 25%, 1.13 fantasy. Now that's just with SGA off. I know there are other guys that are out tonight, but the key piece there, you're still getting 1.2 and a 30% usage for Jalen there. So
yeah, I mean, you'd have to be in at that point. If SGA is out, you just have to be in.
Agreed. From a value perspective on this slate, ownership is taking us to Justin Champagnie, Bilal Coulibaly, and then all the way down to Aaron Wiggins at $3,900.
Yeah, the Washington guys I definitely feel more comfortable about. I think Justin Champagnie probably starts and has a chance to play over 30 minutes in this spot. That's too cheap for his $4,400 price tag. I think Coulibaly is interesting as well. He has a chance to take a ton of shots in this spot. Like, Washington's down McCollum, Middleton, Keyshawn George. Like, those are their usage guys. Like, Sarr's going to get his. There's no doubt about that. We've seen Trey Johnson take on a little bit bigger role in this situation too, but it would not surprise me if Coulibaly took the most shots on the team tonight. Yep.
Again, wouldn't surprise me. It hasn't been asked to be a high usage rate player,
right?
But we've seen him have the opportunities to be a high usage rate player and a shot maker last year at times. So we were a little bit surprised that the offense went away, but then he had this 3-game stretch, taking 13, 14, and 15 shots, gave you 40 and 36 fantasy points in 2 of those games here. So.
Yeah, when you add that to the already good profile, he's a good rebounder. He does enough defensively. Yeah. Like then he becomes a really good fantasy player.
Yep, I agree. Aaron Wiggins is prepared to save basketball SGA or not, says our guy Warren, who's been more right than wrong with his chat calls this year. So $3,900 Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah, let's talk about Aaron Wiggins because he started last game and he played 25 minutes in a blowout. Like 7 or 8 of those minutes came at the end of the game when they had already waved the white flag. They got blown out by Charlotte, mind you. Wiggins closed the game with the scrubs. So if he starts, does he actually starts again and there's not a blowout, does he actually play 25 minutes or do they just spread it around to the whole bench? So the Aaron Wiggins ownership is really uncomfortable for me if SGA is in. If SGA is out, different conversation, one of the best values on the slate. But SGA in, I'm pretty nervous about that ownership.
Yep. Anything else here at small forward?
Quick scan. I do not think so.
All right. If we go on over to power forward, Justin has the dual position eligibility, so he remains the highest. But Montes Mazzulis is over 30%. No one's really looking to spend up at this position. Scotty Barnes is your top priced spend up play. Jalen Johnson's up to 10-6. Ryan and I were both happy and sad to see that because one absolutely deserved to be $10,600. You and I were talking about this. I think it was on Friday where we're like, why is he under 10K? Well, now he's not. He's 10-6. Banchero's $9,600. Whole Orlando starting team got benched last night. Maybe this is a game where the message sent game, the message received, go out and blow doors off a team that you should be better than in Brooklyn. Laurie, Scotty Barnes, Zion's $8,300, Chet $76. There's some really good spend up options here that people aren't really spending up for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm living here in tournaments. I think Jalen Johnson an outstanding play with a great matchup against New Orleans. Paolo, I'm concerned about. He was awesome until that game, and right when we all jumped back in, they pulled this crap. I had so much Anthony Black in that game.
Yeah.
It was a very frustrating watch to see what Orlando pulled in that last game. I'm definitely a bit stricken by that because it was the best possible matchup against Washington too.
Yeah.
So that was painful. I think I need a day to recover from that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Paolo's a bad play by any means. Certainly going to be low owned. Yeah, short memory, go right back to it. But I do like some of the other options better. JJ at the top, marketing in a tough matchup, not completely sold there. It's the next two that I really love. Scotty Barnes against Charlotte can do it in so many ways. BI's been the usage guy, but Scotty is just doing everything else. He had double-digit assists, almost triple-doubled in the last game, adds some defensive stats as well. We talked about Jalen Johnson and his price finally correcting. I think Scotty Barnes is too cheap at $8,500 with everything that he does on the floor. He should be a 9K player.
Yeah.
And he's not even getting that owned. So I think you're getting a discount on the price tag and the ownership. Scotty Barnes, I will definitely be well over the field on. I have a lot of the same things to say about Zion Williamson. He is also a 9K player in an elite matchup against Atlanta, who plays at the second fastest pace in the league. I know he struggled a little bit the last 2 times out, but he was on his way to looking like he was breaking back out right before that. I think he can get back to 40 fantasy points pretty easily here in this matchup. 8,300 is too cheap for Zion.
Yeah, we have right now it says just 2% of the field is playing Chet Holmgren here. I have to assume if SGA was to get ruled out, that would adjust. But this is an 8:00 game. There's a ton of 7, so you're gonna have to kind of build your lineup either already with Chet in it, or make it so you can make some pivots if SGA gets ruled out to get Chet in there. Because again, he's got the higher fantasy point per minute output. He's got the higher usage rate than Jalen Williams with SGA off the floor.
Yeah, that's an interesting note there. And this is the last game of the night. We may not know that until well into the slate. So it's not a bad idea to just go ahead and build some Chet into your lineups to start with.
Because what's the worst that happens? He plays Utah. It's still a really good spot. Still a really good spot for Chet Holmgren here at a really great price tag. Bridges, $7,400 if Miller's out. Another guy that can just go out there and shoot the lights out. You look at these recent stat numbers from him, back-to-back double-doubles, even with Diabate back, scoring the basketball. So certainly something to watch for with him there. Get Aldama questionable too, huh? So Jaren Jackson and Sandy Aldama. Who does Memphis have tonight against Phoenix? Who's on the floor? Gigi Jackson? Is that what they're You know, what's the front court look like for Memphis tonight?
There could be some serious value for Memphis if both of those guys miss for sure. Like Landale would probably have to play over 30 minutes, and he's a good per minute guy, so that'd look really good. I think Gigi Jackson would be another guy who could pick up quite a bit of minutes.
Like John Conchar on that team. Like I'm trying to
He's
think
out.
of like I was gonna say what is the depth for?
No, there's none.
The most injured team in the league the last couple of years here with Memphis.
Yes,
so.
I think if Triple J and Aldama were out, they would be down to like 8 guys, I want to say.
That's crazy. Which again, you just have to play because there's so many options there. All right. Where do you want to go in this next tier? Again, Buzelis has the ownership as of now.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. And especially if Kobe White sits. Grande dropped in the chat that Kobe White was doing like stuff after shoot around, which is generally an indication that he's not playing that night. So probably expecting the Kobe White rule out, which makes Buzelis look really good. He's already playing over 30 minutes again with Giddey out and now Jalen Smith out. Zach Collins is out. So you feel really good about Buzelis playing 30 minutes. As long as he stays out of foul trouble. It's a tough matchup against Detroit, but he's still just a little bit too cheap for that role, especially with the extra usage that Kobe White being rolled out would open up.
Agreed. Mid-range, Isaiah Stewart's 5,500. So the Isaiah Stewart thing, I think, is actually quite interesting for me because I've gone on in the preview show and talked a lot about Isaiah Stewart when he's come off the bench, being a high fantasy point per minute guy, right? And then he gets into the starting lineup, and all of a sudden he's like a 0.75 fantasy point per minute guy. And Grande's pointed out, it's like, well, now he's starting with Cade. Cade is a ridiculously high usage rate player. Cade's not there. The offense doesn't flow through Cade Cunningham. There's an opportunity for Isaiah Stewart now to regain some of that usage, regain some of the shot take. He's taken 8, 7, 5 shots. This is a guy that was taking double-digit shots, like nearly off the bench half of the time. So I don't know. I think it's a super interesting tournament play tonight. If Cade gets ruled out, Isaiah Stewart here against this Bulls front court.
Yeah, it's a smash spot against the Bulls for sure. They play fast. They don't play any defense. No rim protection whatsoever, especially with Jalen Smith now out.
Yeah.
So I like that. I know it's been frustrating with him in the starting lineup. Like you think the production should go up, and it just hasn't.
It does. No, it's gone worse per minute since he's moved into the starting lineup and playing more. But maybe tonight, if there's no Cade Cunningham in the starting lineup, we get back to the high usage player of Isaiah Stewart. So I'm willing to take some darts there if you're playing. CMB, good on you, sir. You had him in your lineup at 4%, carried you there, 17, 7, and 7. Grande talked it up all preview show. He's like, he's not going to be as bad as he was the first time against Atlanta. Certainly wasn't. $4,500 gets Charlotte here tonight.
Yeah, best game of his career. I benefited nicely from it. Had a couple of lineups with him that got me to the top of some tournaments. So certainly don't mind going right back to him. I don't think you're guaranteed to see 31 minutes again. I think that was a little bit of a hot hand thing, and you should probably have an expectation of like 26 minutes. Yeah. But again, the role is significantly better, and he's still a little bit too cheap for that role.
Yeah, lottery pick. So, there's some value there. Mentioned again, Memphis. We had someone say they threw Christian Coloco on that team. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, he is there, but man, I don't play him unless JJ and Aldama are out.
Yeah, so
maybe you can consider it.
But GG at 4K started play 22 minutes. I mean, that would be a spot.
I think either one of Triple J or Aldama out, and you'd be running into some GG.
Yeah, our guy Anthony saying we called it with the Orlando stack screwing him. We didn't really say the Orlando stack was going to screw you. We just thought playing for Orlando Magic was like not the best idea. We didn't think they were going to sit the entire starting 5 in the second half of that game. So, we definitely didn't have the right analysis per se on that, Anthony, but you would have certainly helped your exposure there if you only ended up with 1 and not 4. Any other power forwards for you?
Let's see here. Talked about Wiggins.
I'm trying to see if any popped for ownership. De Silva's like 10%. That's like it though. There's nothing else really there. All right. Moving on over. We got center. Your top price center tonight, Joel Embiid is questionable, $9,200. Towns is 83. From an ownership, we kind of figured this one out. Paul Reed again at 5K would be is currently the highest. He's not 80% like he was the other day because he's 5K now, but he's up over 30%. But you said it at the top of the show, and I said it last night. I'm big on Sar, and Embiid can't play defense right now. He just doesn't move well enough to play good enough defense. And now you take out all of those usage plays for Washington. You know, if they don't get blown out, which they might, but if they don't, Sar's going to be a reason why.
Yeah, I completely agree. Embiid his knees are just shot at this point. Like, he was once upon a time an elite defender, but that is not the case anymore. Even if you look at the on-off stuff with Philly's defensive rating, they're a better team with Embiid, a better defensive team, I should say, with Embiid off the floor. So great point there. Sar's already been awesome, and now they have a bunch of guys out. So can't say anything better about him.
Great getting him up over the 30-minute mark too the other day.
Yep.
Blocks a lot of shots. You know, Embiid plays around the rim. I said, like, the one where you have is Embiid still does get to the free throw line a ton. So, you know, maybe that ends up causing an issue from like a foul perspective. But you know, either way, I'm still all in here on Sar. I'll grab some of his usage numbers there without George McCollum and, you know, Middleton and all those guys that are off the floor here tonight. I also liked Okongwu this morning, but again, downgraded, questionable. Yeah, you know, what does that do for Atlanta? Obviously, Jalen Johnson and Porzingis. Porzingis is still limited. Do you think we get like more Moget minutes tonight if he's out? Like, what's your expectation for center?
Yeah, because Porzingis is still limited, like you said. Like, it's not like Porzingis is just going to jump up and play 30 minutes. He's still going to be on a restriction. So I think, it's going to be either Asanul or Moget.
Newell, Newell's a good shout, actually. That's probably him over Gay.
It seems like they had started to favor him over Gay a little bit, but then Mo was back in the rotation again. So it's kind of a flip-flopping hot hand situation. They're still trying to see what they have in both of those guys. But I think they'd both be interesting, actually, if Okongwu was out.
Okay. I think the Zubac price is too cheap. $6,900 for him. Went over 30 minutes. Like, we're right back into the prime Zubac where he was up over, you know, $8,000 player at one point this season. So really good discount on Zubac against the Knicks.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like with what Kawhi's been doing, it's going to be hard for him to get that if Kawhi continues to do what he's doing. But there's a chance that Zubac just might come back and take Kawhi back to where we've seen him for the rest of his 15-year career.
Yeah. Okongwu just officially ruled out too, by the way. So
that's a big piece of news there. We're going to have some plays, I think, to target there for Atlanta. And that's the best game environment of the night. So there's going to be some stuff that looks really, really good there. Triple J, or not Triple J, Jaren Jack, man.
Yeah,
Jalen Johnson,
right? Yeah, Jalen Johnson, though.
Jalen Johnson is going to be way more popular than we thought he was going to be, which is unfortunate, but he fully deserves that 10+ K price tag now.
Yeah, 100%.
Vooch is a guy I want to talk about a little bit. Okay. It's not a good matchup, but the minutes are fully back. They're without Jalen Smith. They're without Zach Collins,
Kobe White, probably.
Yeah, and now Kobe White and Josh Giddey out also. So there's just usage. Like, Vooch is going to be a main piece of the offense here. He's just a little bit too cheap now that he's back playing mid-30s minutes with all the usage guys out.
Yep. I don't ever get to him, but obviously the last two games, you know, paying off the price tag for sure. So won't argue with you on that one. I like Claxton at 62. I think that's fine. Again, talk about Isaiah Stewart at 55. I would play him there. B-Ball Paul, though, is again where all the ownership is. He's $5,000, 26 minutes, 30 minutes. Just a good play. You know, obviously better when he's 3K than 5K, but it doesn't seem to matter from an ownership perspective tonight.
And another guy that he's just an insane producer per minute off the bench. And he jumps into the starting lineup and you expect him to do that. And that's just not quite how it works. When you play alongside 30% plus usage Cade Cunningham, like, you're just not going to be able to do as much as you are when you're on the second unit playing next to Ron Holland. Yeah. So, like, the production is down a little bit. He's still too cheap for the role. Don't get me wrong. It's just, now that he's 5K, it's not an automatic lock button like it was when he was starting at 3,500.
Sure.
So a little bit more risk here. He's very handsy. He can get in foul trouble in a hurry. But the upside is still tremendous. If Cade Cunningham gets ruled out, he would go back to that lock button territory, even at 5K.
Landale, as you mentioned, I mean, if they're out Aldama, they're out Triple J here, you know, again, a guy that's giving you double doubles at times this season. And yeah, like by default, you would just have to be locked into minutes here.
Yeah, he's playing well anyway. I think you can consider him even if Aldama and Triple J are in the lineup. But if either of those guys are out, he has a shot to play 30 plus minutes, and he would be way too cheap in that scenario.
I agree with you. All right, talk to me about some value here.
One more guy that we
Yeah.
skipped over, Derek Queen. We just talked
Okay.
about with Okongwu out, Atlanta has nobody in the front court that can defend this guy. The minutes have been pretty secure here, over 30 the last two, been playing 25 plus for like a month straight. So I feel fine about the playing time. The matchup was already good. It was already very good. And now it's just as good as it could possibly get. With no Okongwu, like Queen he might just wreck some people in Atlanta.
Sure. I don't mind that. Again, the price tag's pretty good for a guy that nearly triple-doubled the other night. So
yep.
Again, Diabate's a rebounding vacuum. You know, if he's out there, you can always lock him in for 10 rebounds, and maybe he offensive boards himself into a double-double there.
Mitchell Robinson started the other night. If he starts again, that's certainly interesting.
If there ends up being no Embiid tonight, you have Bona at 43. Is Embiid updated at all? Is he probable? Is he still questionable? What do we got here? Updated to probable. Okay, so JoJo's good. We didn't really go in on Embiid. This also is an elite matchup for him.
Yes, and he too has been playing 35 minutes.
Yeah,
40 minutes last game. 5 of those were in overtime, so 35 regulation minutes.
Yep.
Also played 38 minutes in an overtime game a few games ago. Like the minutes are fully back there.
Can still score. You know?
Yes, absolutely. Can still rebound. Like going to get you a double-double. Can put up some blocks as well. So I'm definitely still in on an Embiid.
All right, cool. Let's see if we have any ownership updates here. Nothing yet, but I'm sure some things will come through. I'm trying to figure out where I guess the Atlanta Porzingis is 8%. Again, I don't really want to. What did he play? 17 minutes the other day?
Yeah, like it's been 20, I think, the last 2 games. Unless they say I will say this, if he starts, I think there's a chance that he could play 26 minutes. And I'd have interest at 26 minutes.
At $5,700, yeah. If Porzingis was to play 25, 26 minutes, I would have some interest there. I would agree with you. All right. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Where do we begin?
I'm still kind of digesting that Atlanta stuff as well. So I'm thrown off a little bit. Like the slate has shifted a little. It'll probably shift 2 or 3 more times before.
Let's get our Bub and Champagne plays in here.
Yes, and Paul Reed I think is just pretty safe value. There's some risk. There's more risk now that he's 5K, but it's still just too cheap of a price. All
right. So we got Carrington, Champagne, Reed. We might as well just go Triple J here.
Yeah, I mean, he is now the spend up for sure with Okongwu out.
Yeah, and he's still got $6,300 to play with. So there's like a ton of money still to be moved around here. Let's see. How much Washington do you want to play tonight, I guess is a question.
So I am generally pretty aggressive with my limiting the number. Like when I make my build, I will limit it to 3 Washington guys per team in large field tournaments because I'm ceiling hunting on those guys. I think in a smaller contest where you don't need as big of a score, you could play easily 4 of them tonight without question.
Would you play Koulibaly or Sarr as like the 4th man in here, or Johnson as the 4th or the 3rd man in here? I guess
as the third man, yes. I would like when you're talking Koulibaly and Sarr with 2 other value pieces. That's what I'm trying to limit in tournaments. But as the 3rd man, I'm fine with either one of them.
Okay. If we do Koulibaly because he's a little bit cheaper, that gives us $6,700. You got a shooting guard, a guard, and a util left for you guys. And again, a lot of major injury news to come. If K gets ruled out, the lineup you see on the screen would not be the lineup we would play. We'd include like Dennis Jenkins or whoever would start. Same thing if we get the OKC news. Obviously, someone like AJ Mitchell or Chet Holmgren would move into this lineup. But as we stand now, this is kind of where we're at with the news that we have it. So make sure you stay hip to the Discord, get in the updates on the playbook. And make sure you stay in there for us to get you guys updated for all the news. Anthony with the super chat to end the show. Is Towns a lock at center?
Certainly not a lock. I don't even have a ton of interest in him.
Grande highlighted Ivica Zubac was like a defensive player of the year nominee last season. So
yeah, very good. Slow paced game. I don't love it.
And if you're multi-entering, Anthony, for sure you can throw him in there. But if you're making one lineup, Towns is not where we're going today at the center position. So.
Like I'd play Sauer for 1,000 less.
Yeah. You like Vuk for 7,800. You play him too. So,
Yep.
All right, guys, that's a look at today's show. We'll be back tonight to preview Thursday. What day is today? Say Wednesday. Preview Thursday's slate. Days go by fast, and we'll catch.